Good morning, everybody. We're going to get started now. Everybody is sit down. All right. Good morning, and thank you all for joining us. We're so happy to have you all here as we dedicate the Heritage Breeds Forever stamps. My name is Jeanette Berenger, and I'm the Senior Program Manager for the Livestock Conservancy, and I'm super thrilled to be the Master of Ceremonies. I've been with the Conservancy since 2005, and I've been an animal professional for 35 years. At home in North Carolina, I maintain heritage breeds, and I'm always, as most of you that know me know, I like to share stories of those special birds and animals. It's safe to say that, like a lot of you here, I love heritage breeds. So to begin our program, we're going to have Twana Barber, and she will perform a rendition of the national anthem. Twana is a strategic communications manager just across the river at the Postal Service headquarters in Washington, D.C. So please rise and welcome Twana Barber.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
All right, that was beautiful. Can we give her another round of applause for that? Get us off to a great start. I'm delighted to introduce our first speaker, the president and CEO of this incredible estate, Dr. Douglas Bradburn. Doug is the former founding director of the Fred W. Smith National Library for the Study of George Washington at Mount Vernon, which serves as a center for scholarly research, education outreach, and leadership development. Since his arrival in 2013, Doug has been instrumental in the transformation of Mount Vernon's approach to deliver on its education mission. He was previously chair of the history faculty at SUNY Birmingham University and is an award-winning author and well-known scholar of early American history. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Douglas Bradburn.
Thank you so much for that. And that was a beautiful rendition there. It's so great to be with people again here at Mount Vernon. Pumped up. Let's go. We're honored to have the United States Postal Service and the Heritage Breeds Association here today to unveil this new set of stamps to honor America's heritage animals. There's really, I think, perhaps no more fitting place to have this ceremony than here at the home of the father of our country, George Washington. Now, for many of us, George Washington's achievements, we think of him, of course, as the great commander-in-chief that led us through 8 years of the American Revolution, as the chair of the Constitutional Convention, which helped deliver us a more perfect union, and as the first president of the United States, where he said he walked on common ground and set up that extraordinary institution, the longest lasting democracy under a written constitution in the world. But for all these titles, the one that he always considered most important to himself was as a farmer. And his pursuits in agriculture were always with an eye not only to his own improvements, but also for the future of the nation. Now, George Washington, as you know, never had a formal education. He had reading, writing, and arithmetic. His father died when he was young. And so the rest of it he got through reading and through doing. And one of the things he was obsessed with was agriculture, reading the latest manuals from Europe, the scientific literature, and always experimenting with new methods and techniques. And in many ways, George Washington's first act of revolution was an agricultural revolution. He freed himself from the colonial system of tobacco, which was a challenging crop to produce, expensive, it had to go through England, and he led the transition in this region to wheat farming, which he could sell wherever he wanted to sell. It was a more sustainable choice, better on the soil, less destructive to man and beast alike. Now, he was one of the first in the colonies to adopt crop rotation, but at the height of Mount Vernon's production, there were over 400 varieties of plants being produced here, from Portland oats to American cabbage, kale to Swedish turnips. And Washington was not only a student of agriculture, but an innovator as well. He invented a drill plow, which evenly dropped seeds at regular intervals, making an aid to planting. He created an iconic 16-sided barn while he was president of the United States in his leisure moments, designing it in Philadelphia and sending the plans down here to Mount Vernon with the exact number of bricks that would be necessary to build the structure. And we have a working replica here today, which you can enjoy, which separates the wheat with trotting horses in a circle that knock the grains to the floor below. Now, Washington could have patented these inventions, but instead he made them freely available to copy and replicate so other American farmers could share in the successes he did. But perhaps the greatest success he had in agriculture and husbandry was his innovation as the father of the American mule. After receiving a Spanish jack named Royal Gift from King Charles III of Spain in 1784, Washington successfully bred the jack with horses, establishing a mule, and with the American stock of smaller donkeys to help establish the mammoth jack stock. In 1785, there were exclusively 132 horses working the fields at Mount Vernon, but at his death in 1799, the estate's makeup was quite different. Only 27 horses, 20 donkeys, and 63 mules. Mules, Washington believed, were the best for their sure-footedness, stamina, and hard work. Now, today we're here at Mount Vernon's home, overlooking the Potomac River, because of the efforts of a group of women led by Anne Pamela Cunningham, who came together in 1858 to raise the funds to purchase this property and estate from the Washington family and preserve it forever so that Americans could learn the stories of the founding of their country through the father of the nation. We're a place of pilgrimage for parents and school children alike, and I think in today's environment, as important as ever in the work we do. We preserve the stories of Washington and all those that labored here in the fields. At the time of Washington's death, there were over 317 enslaved people working on this estate, and we honor their service and tell their stories every day as well. And also, of course, for many people visiting this estate, this is the first time they're exposed to animals and American heritage breeds. Our award-winning livestock breeding program not only supports this estate, but other historic sites around the country to continue to preserve and share our historic breeds with the nation. I'm excited to see you all here today at this extraordinary unveiling, the new stamps, and we invite all Americans to not only add these to their collection, but to come to Mount Vernon and learn and meet the breeds represented here. Thank you very much.
Doug, for those wonderful remarks. And now it's my pleasure to introduce our dedicating official, Steve Monteith, Chief Customer and Marketing Officer for the United States Postal Service. Steve oversees 5 different departments: customer service, global business, marketing, product solutions, and sales. He leads the organization's efforts to grow the brand, improve the customer service and experience, develop products and pricing strategies, and manage relationships with business partners in the industry. With more than 32 years at the Postal Service, he reports directly to the Postmaster General and is a member of the executive leadership team. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Steve Monteith.
Thank you, Jeanette, for the kind introduction, and thanks to everyone here for joining us on this beautiful day to dedicate the Heritage Breeds Forever stamps. I want to echo what Doug said. It's just great to be here. It's great to be outside, and it's great to see all of you here. So we're delighted to see you here to help us participate in this event. So on behalf of the 644,000 dedicated men and women of the United States Postal Service, I'm honored to welcome you, and to welcome you to the first live stamp event we've had in a year. So, I can't think of a more perfect place or week to celebrate these unique pre-industrial farm animals. I'd like to acknowledge Dr. Douglas Bradburn and all the staff here at Mount Vernon for hosting today's event. Thank you. And also, thank you for the important work you do, preserving our nation's history and bringing it to life. I'd also like to thank Jeanette, Dr. Allison Martin, and the Livestock Conservancy for including us in this year's International Heritage Breeds Week. In large part, due to your global advocacy, these animals are enjoying renewed attention for their versatility, their adaptability, and their unique genetic traits. Understanding the history of heritage breeds and their abilities for survival and self-sufficiency, it's really easy to see their value. As Doug mentioned, American heritage breeds date back to the early history of our country, the time when George Washington played a key role in shaping American agriculture. In a 1794 letter, Washington wrote, "I know of no pursuit in which more zeal and important service can be rendered to any country than by improving its agriculture." Without question, the nation's first president understood the importance of these resilient animals and their importance in achieving that goal. He also saw their impact firsthand in the functions of his state here at Mount Vernon. Washington took an active role in making improvements to his estate. He constantly strove to find the best livestock and agricultural techniques. Once common on American farms, these animals are now a rare sight. Since the mainstream adoption of industrial agriculture, many heritage breeds have become critically endangered, and some are even extinct. The great thing about this dedication is that you can still see many of the traditional livestock breeds, and they're here today. So hopefully you've either seen them or you'll see them when we break. Across the country, living history farms and historic sites like this one recognize the value of heritage livestock as cultural resources. They are increasingly working with associations of breeders across the U.S. to acquire and raise heritage breeds. One such example is the milking Devon cow. Featured on our stamps, it is being raised here at Mount Vernon to help preserve the breed. The stamps we are about to unveil represent the great diversity of heritage breeds in the United States. Zach Bryant designed the paint of 20 stamps featuring photographs by Eliza Eliazaroff. Greg Breeding served as our art director for this project. The first and third rows offer close-ups of the Mule Foot Hog, the Wyandotte chicken, the milking Devon cow, the Narragansett Turkey, and the American Mammoth Jackstock donkey. The second and fourth rows offer photographs of the Cotton Patch Goose, the San Clemente Island Goat, the American Cream Draft Horse, the Cayuga Duck, and the Barbados Black-Belly Sheep. Try saying that 10 times fast. Barbados Black-Belly Sheep. Okay, cool. It's a great collection of stamps, and I'd like to congratulate Eliza and Greg for their amazing work on them. The Postal Service has long celebrated our nation's rich history through our stamp program, and these animals are an important part of that history. As you add these stamps to your collection, or use them to send a message to your family and friends, we hope they'll inspire you and provide a renewed appreciation for these beautiful animals. Now, before we unveil the stamps, I want to recognize a special guest here with us today. So a man who needs no introduction, General George Washington. Let's invite him up here and see if he'll say a few words.
Good day. I'm very pleased to be able to welcome you today to my home. They asked if here I would speak a few words about my founding of the Postal Service. And since my great contribution to this enterprise was merely in signing into law that institution, I believe my remarks will be brief. For that you may be thankful. If we are to look, though, at the invention and improvement of our Postal Service, that credit would go to the mind of Dr. Franklin. During the late conflict with the French Indians, he saw that there would be a great need for improved correspondence between all of our then colonies. Indeed, he felt that if we were to correspond more easily, that we would have opportunity to meet conflict in a more unified manner. That communication led to collaboration. That collaboration led to our revolution. And so in a very real way, you can see how the roots of our republic were planted, germinated, and watered by the post. As I have always promoted our domestic breeds above all others, it pleases me greatly today to see that we have a celebration of our own here from the Postal Service. Thank you very much.
Thank you, General Washington, and thank you for signing us into law. In 3.5 years, the Postal Service will be 250 years old, and 1 year before the country, so we're a year older than the founding of the country, so we're excited as we move forward to that. So now, I've only been here 32 of those, so anyways. Now, without further ado, on behalf of the United States Postal Service, I'd like to invite our other participants, Jeanette, Doug, Eliza, Allison, and of course, General Washington, to join me as we unveil the Heritage Breed Forever Stamps. Please join us on stage.
Next, I'd like to introduce the woman behind the lens, photographer and author, Eliza Eliazarov. Eliza's passionate exploration of food issues, farming, and animals has led to numerous projects that have been recognized, published, and exhibited both in the U.S. and abroad. You may have seen her award-winning cover stories for Modern Farmer magazine or her photo-driven book showcasing her collected work alongside compelling facts and stories of the animals she photographs. Artistic talent coupled with her ability to connect with seemingly common animals is uncommon in ways, is evident in her work. Please give a warm welcome to Eliza. You made me too nervous.
Thank you so much. To the United States Postal Service, it's wonderful to be here. The email subject line read, "Confidential, USPS. Is this spam?" I clicked to open. It read, "Please forgive the formal subject line, but I'm an art director with the United States Postal Service and would love to talk to you about a potential stamp project." I read on. "Your images are stunning and might make wonderful stamps. I'd love to tell you more. What do you think?" What did I think? Was this really the US Postal Service? It seems legit. Holy cow. I replied to the email, something along the lines of, "Heck yeah." I wanted to shout it from the rooftops, but I was sworn to silence. As many of you know, stamp projects are a closely guarded secret. And so I delighted in conversations with art director Greg Breeding and stamp designer Zach Bryant, two wonderfully talented fellows, as we dove headlong into research to find the right animals for the stamps. I combed through breed directories, websites, and social media to find the right fit. Once an animal was chosen, I traveled to their farm and built an on-location photo studio. When an animal entered the set, I'd stay quiet and still, giving them time to settle into the space. As they explored their new surroundings, I tracked their every move as they sniffed the backdrop, licked the light stand, and pawed the ground. Eventually, the dance began. A head bob, a tail swing, a wing flap, left step, right step. We'd lock eyes. In those moments of intense connection, I'd make the portrait. The 10 heritage breeds selected for the stamps have a distinctly North American history. I will now speak briefly about each one in order of appearance on the pane. First, we have the Mule Foot Hog. Known for its solid hoof, they were once seen throughout the Midwest and Mississippi River Valley. At Radical Roots Farm, Bacchus is busy building this now endangered herd. Piglets scurried and squealed at my feet as I made his portrait. Wyandotte chickens, a dual-purpose breed, are also excellent mothers. Tater is a golden-laced Wyandotte raised by 4-H leader Brittany Saunders, who is helping to usher in the next generation of animal stewards. The milking Devon is a tri-purpose cow. They were among the first bovines to arrive in New England in 1623. Jade's portrait was made right across the Potomac at the Accokeek Foundation's National Colonial Farm. The Narragansett Turkey, with its beautiful plumage, hails from Rhode Island. This Tom was photographed at Fieldhouse Farm. During the photo shoot, the farmers' kids assisted me using their boogie boards to keep the turkey from leaving the set. George Washington himself was involved with developing the American Mammoth Jackstock, a strong, rideable donkey that could sire good working mules. Sharpie was photographed at Tripledale Farm, where I was immediately drawn to his deep-set, soulful eyes. After our shoot, he was rewarded with a treat all donkeys love, a good, long ear scratch. Cotton Patch Goose is a land race once common across the South, where they helped weed fields. I photographed Abby at Dunroman Farm. She was so friendly that I picked her up and held her in my arms. Her large body was surprisingly light and feathers silky soft as she wrapped her long neck over my shoulder. The deer-like San Clemente Island goat from Southern California came very close to being called into extinction. While photographing the small herd at East Hill Farm, this doe emerged as the star, a supermodel ready for her close-up. Next is the American Cream, an Iowa darling with its fair coat. It's the only remaining American draft horse. Farmer Roy Nilsson hazed 100 acres via horsepower with help from his beloved and trusted coworkers, Molly and Shep. Developed in New York, cayugas are docile ducks and excellent foragers with mesmerizing black-green iridescent feathers. Anubis is a championship-winning drake from Duck Hollow Farm. The soundtrack to our shoot was a symphony of clucks, quacks, and hawks while I made his portrait among hundreds of other birds at the annual Northeast Poultry Congress. Lastly, we have Springwood Dumas, a regal Barbados black-belly sheep. This hair breed has adapted to living in hot and humid climates. At Springwood Farm, right here in Virginia, veterinarians and conservation breeders, Drs. Pam Hand and Will Houston, have been integral in growing the national flock. According to the urgent census work done by the Livestock Conservancy, 6 of the animals featured on the stamps are currently considered critically endangered. This means that the breed's estimated global population is less than 2,000. Having my portraits reproduced on stamps is a huge honor. But more importantly, it's a tremendous opportunity to raise awareness and educate folks about heritage breed livestock and poultry. I hope these photos compel others to take a moment and pause and consider the animals who have trotted beside us since the dawn of agriculture. They've kept us fed and clothed and warm, plowed our fields, pulled our carts, and enabled the growth of civilization. Today, in a country dominated by industrial farming practices, I also hope these portraits shed light on the necessity of biodiversity in agriculture. These portraits have been printed by the millions. The stamps will be available at post offices across the country. They'll be pressed onto letters and invitations filled with good news, ramblings, and love poems. And someone, somewhere, weary from a year of isolation, will open their mailbox and pull out an envelope. And on that envelope will be a tiny animal looking back at them. And in that moment, they too may feel a renewed connection to the world. One that begins on the farm. Thank you.
Thank you, Eliza. That was really fascinating. I'm excited to introduce our final speaker, and not just because she's my boss, Dr. Allison Martin. Allison is the executive director at the Livestock Conservancy and really a giant in the heritage breed community, although she doesn't do a good job letting people know that. Her experience raising backyard poultry, waterfowl, rabbits, and horses as a teenager sparked a career in poultry science spanning more than 20 years. Allison specializes in health and vaccine development. She was a key leader in the world's first in ovo or in egg vaccine for coccidiosis, a parasitic intestinal infection common in many animals. Her efforts to build collaborative partnerships at the Livestock Conservancy have helped to expand strategic, scientific, and technical capacity in our conservation programs. Please welcome my esteemed friend, Dr. Allison Martin.
Thank you, Jeanette. That's an especially nice introduction today. I'd like to express my heartfelt thanks to the U.S. Postal Service, all of you who are here today, to our hosts at Mount Vernon, and to everyone who's joined us here on this beautiful day to dedicate the Heritage Breeds Forever stamps. U.S. postage stamps reflect American history, society, culture, and environment. What a fitting way to celebrate heritage livestock and poultry breeds that represent the living history of our farming past and future. Each of these breeds, as you've heard, has a story, and you've heard many of those stories today. For example, the turkeys that were farmed by indigenous peoples in both North and South America long before the Europeans arrived were the ancestors of the Narragansett turkey that's on our stamp today, and we have a representative of the Narragansett turkey out here today. Farm animals changed the environment of the United States with the spread of domesticated livestock rearing. These livestock and poultry were shaped by the diverse cultures of the people who raised them throughout this country. Each of the breeds on these stamps, as you've heard, are native to North America, and only a few of them exist outside of North America. Most of them came close to disappearing in the 20th century when modern farming practices left these breeds by the wayside. At the time of the United States bicentennial in 1976, an insightful group of individuals realized that these animals were disappearing. The word biodiversity didn't exist in 1976, but this group realized that further losses would impoverish American agriculture. So they founded the Livestock Conservancy to protect America's livestock and poultry from extinction. The Livestock Conservancy researches, counts, and promotes these breeds. We connect breeders together and serve as an information clearinghouse to educate breeders. Today, through the efforts of the Livestock Conservancy, heritage livestock and poultry have once again found homes on small family farms. Many of these may be the farmers that you buy from at your local farmers markets or your CSAs or the restaurant that you go to. The heritage livestock and poultry on these stamps, together with more than 150 other breeds, are forging a new culinary heritage in America. They're supporting sustainable forestry and contributing to home-crafted textiles and arts. Several of the farmers who are saving rare breeds brought their animals today, and I hope you've already visited some of them or will after we're done here. Another farmer who's here with us today, Miss Jody Jess, raises Kerry cattle, Dexter cattle, Gloucestershire Old Spots pigs, and a variety of heritage poultry on her small farm in Massachusetts. Several years ago, she was at her local post office picking up her mail in the small town of Ashburnham, Massachusetts, and she got to chatting with her postmaster. And it was the time when they were announcing the new stamps for that year. So Jody asked, how do you submit an idea for postage stamps? Because she had this great idea that stamps would bring attention to the heritage farm animals that she loves. So together with a friend, Emily Aho, Jody submitted the idea to the U.S. Postal Service, and here we are today. The Livestock Conservancy is so proud to be unveiling these stamps with our long-term partners at Mount Vernon, and with so many members and breeders here in the audience today, the people who are saving rare breeds day to day on their own farms. Please take a moment this morning to seek out your fellow Livestock Conservancy breeders and talk to them to learn more about this important mission. I'd like to leave you today with a quote from the U.S. Postal Service that highlights why we're here today. Stamps show the depth and breadth of American culture. They honor our heroes, celebrate our achievements, and reflect our national identity. This philosophy reflects the values of the Livestock Conservancy in choosing to conserve heritage farm animals, in honoring their historic achievements, while supporting the people who raise them now and who reflect our national identity and are saving these animals for future generations to enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you, Allison. That was fabulous. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our stamp ceremony. Before we go, I'd like to thank all our participants and special guests, Twana Barber, Dr. Bradburn, Steve Monteith, Eliza Eliazaroff, Dr. Martin, and Daniel Shippey, aka George Washington. I also want to thank all of you for being a great audience. If you're sharing photos with friends on social media, remember our hashtag Heritage Breed Stamps, spelled as one word. And don't forget to stop by the Postal Service retail tent, which is right over there, and purchase stamps and cancellations. I know I can't wait to get my hands on mine. I pre-ordered and I still don't have them. Stay safe and enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy the animals, and thank you all so much for coming.